Hello everyone, my name is Michael. In today's video, we are going to see how we can deploy our Puppeteer script in AWS Lambda using the AWS SAM CLI. So yeah, without further ado, let's get straight into the video. Okay, so the first thing we have to do is install AWS SAM CLI. So every link, by the way, I'll be showing here will be down in the description. So follow along. So we will scroll down, and since I'm using Windows, I'll install it using this method right here. I've already tested this method on macOS, so it works. So until this installs, let's go also on Docker Desktop right here, link in the description. And basically we will install Docker Desktop for Windows. This is in order to build our project, in order to deploy it in Lambda. But everything will happen from the command line. This is why it is very simple. And also this is so we can test the script locally. Now, while those two are installing, as you will see, if we scroll back up, it will say sign up for an AWS account. So make sure you do that. And then it says create an account, an administrative IAM user, and then create an access key ID and a secret access key. So we can use that with the CLI, because we need those keys in order to log into CLI and then deploy our script. So to do that, again, link in the description, or just search on AWS IAM here and open this one right here. And then go here to manage access keys, and then scroll down right here to access keys, and then click create access key. Again, we will be using that in order to log into CLI locally. Okay, click I understand and then create an access key. We need an administrator. Now don't close this page. We need it in order to log into our CLI. So let's leave it open. Okay, so let's create a new folder here. Then let's open terminal, so we can run code dot in order to open it in Visual Studio Code. Then open terminal again, and let's run npm init-y to create a package.json. Then we will do npm i. Now again, you can use whatever you want: Puppeteer, Puppeteer Cluster, Puppeteer Extra. It will work with any version, but to keep it simple, I will just use normal Puppeteer. And I'll show you quickly how you can do it with Puppeteer Cluster, but I will not show the full method, just how you can set up the settings there. So while this installs, actually we have to install one more package, and this is the Chromium package from Spartacus. I hope I pronounce this correctly. And this is so in order to find the Chromium version in Lambda. We don't want to deploy the Chromium version. So let's copy this, or actually no, let's copy this, go back. Okay, so let's run npm i, copy paste it, and let's save again. Okay, so while this is happening, let's create an index.js and let's create a Puppeteer script. Now, the first thing you have to do here is define Puppeteer here, skip _skip Chromium download, and define that to 1. This is because we need to skip Chromium download when we deploy this to Lambda in order to use the Chromium already installed in Lambda. Then let's define the Chromium package, and of course let's define Puppeteer. Now the next thing we have to do is say export or exports.handler equals to, and then here we will get event, context, and also you can get a callback. There we go. Then at the end, our script, let's make it so it returns the page title. On the end, let's say const response equals, then let's define a status code and also the body. Now for now, let's leave it at that, but we will replace the body with the website title, and then we have to return the response. Okay, now the next thing we have to do is let's get from the event the website we want to visit. So to do that, you can say const website URL equals, and then we can get it from event.url. Now let's make sure that exists. So let's say if it doesn't exist, return a status code of 400 or 404 or something like that. And let's say, please provide a URL. Now, if we get the website URL, then let's launch the browser. And here we have to pass a few settings. The first one is some arguments. So we have to pass the arguments we get from Chromium, this package right here. Now, by the way, if you want to use proxies, I have made a video on that, so check it out. I'll leave it somewhere up here. And the way to then use it here is you can create an array like so. Then you pass the arguments right here, and then you can pass the proxy right here like so. So let's say proxy server, and then you can define your proxy here. But for this test, we will not be using proxies, so let's leave that for now. Now the next thing we have to do is define the default viewport. Again, we get that from Chromium. We also want to get the executable path, and we have to run this like so. There we go. And this has to be asynchronous, so make sure you use here await. Finally, we have to get headless again from Chromium. And then usually I like to do ignore HTTP errors to true, but this is optional. Now the next thing we have to do is create a new page. And then go to the website URL. Then let's get the title. And let's return that to the body right here. Now, what if you use Puppeteer cluster? Actually, yeah, let's copy this, create a new one. I'll not be testing this, but I know for sure it works. So the way to do that is, let's say Puppeteer cluster here. Or if you use Puppeteer cluster with Puppeteer extra, so let's do both of them. So let's say Puppeteer extra, and then we get from cluster, from Puppeteer cluster. Now the process is the exact same. So the only thing that changes, okay, actually let's go to Puppeteer cluster. Let's copy this right here. Okay, so leave this for now. Again, you'll have to do it like it's supposed to be done with Puppeteer cluster. This is not the way. But the only thing I want to show you is how you can set up the options here. So again, it's the exact same process, but to define those right here, those values, all you have to do is say here Puppeteer and then options. And then you define the options here. And everything else is the same, okay? So you can just copy the whole example here. And of course, make sure you use the export handler, as I showed you right here. Same to get the event URL. But the only thing you need to make sure you have done is this part right here. And also to skip the Chromium download. And you can use Puppeteer Extra, Puppeteer Cluster, or Puppeteer plugin Stealth, and anything you want. But for this video, we'll keep it simple. So let's only use those. Okay, so let's go back now. And I think Docker is, yeah, it's ready to install. So let's open it. Let's click yes. Let's click OK. And there it goes. So it says you must restart Windows to go. Okay. Okay, so let's restart the computer. Before restarting the computer, make sure you save the access key and also the secret access key. Save it somewhere on your notepad, but make sure you delete it afterwards, after you log in, because it is not saved there. But for now, let's store it there. Okay, there we go. So PC is started. So let's click accept. Let's leave it to default and let's click finish. And then, yeah, let's click yes. Let's continue without signing in. It's not required. Let's keep survey. And I think that should be it. So let's leave it to the side now. Let's open again our application on VS Code. Let's open terminal and let's start the setup with the SAM CLI. So let's type SAM deploy, or actually SAM build. since we need to build this project. Template file not, okay, yeah, so we have to create a template first. Okay, so let's create the template manually. So we'll create a new file, name it template.yml. Okay, so first of all, define the AWS template format version, so 210.0909. Then transform, again 2016-1031. And then this is where we define our scripts. So first of all, we'll define resources. Then we need to define the function method. So let's leave it to my function. Or you can put a name on your function here. And then we will define the type, serverless function, the properties. And here we define the file name and also the handler, as you saw right here, export.handler. Then the Node.js version, so we'll define version 18. Then code URI, this is where your code is located regarding to the template. Since it is on the same folder, we just put the dot. And description, we don't really need that. Now, only thing we need is the memory size and the timeout. Now, since we are creating a Puppeteer script, we need by the minimum to 512. This is megabytes of memory, of RAM memory. Now you can increase that as much as you want. I think it has a limit up to 10 or I think more. And then here you need to define the timeout, like the maximum amount of time your script can run before you shut it down. Because in case it has an issue, it might run forever and you don't want to be billed for the whole time. If you are sure that your script will finish in under 30 seconds, then you can define 30 seconds or whatever you want. And this is it. So let's open terminal again. And then let's run SAM build. Now, when testing locally, I think it uses this template as well. So it will use 512 megabytes and the same timeout. I think this is how it works. And there we go. As you see, it is created. So now to run the script, first of all, let's create a new file. Let's name it event.json. And basically here we will define the options we are passing here. So as you see, we only pass one option, the URL. So let's create an object. Let's define the URL. And let's put https://websdev.com, which is my website. Check it out. And then to run it locally, what we can do is say SAM local invoke and then -- event. And here we can define the event.json file. So we say so what we say is run the build we created locally and pass the event from the event.json. By the way, every time you make an update and you want to run it either locally or in production, the latest version, make sure every time you make an update to run SAM build as we run the first time right here. You have to run this every time you make a change. And then to test it locally, we will use this script right here. And also in a bit how we can do it in production. So first of all, let's test it locally and make sure it works. And it says running AWS locally requires Docker. Okay, yeah, we have to open it. I forgot to open it. Let's open it. So to test it locally, you have to have the Docker desktop open. You don't have to do anything else. So let's run it. I think I have an issue on my Docker. Let's see. And there we go, it finally worked. We had to enable virtualization in BIOS. Now, if you are using an Asus motherboard and you don't have an Intel CPU, you will go to the advanced settings and then enable the option called CVM. So yeah, so there we go. So finally works. So let's continue. And let's run the old command, SAM local invoke. Okay, so let's install AWS CLI. link down in the description. And after you install it, let's open it. Click next, accept, next, install, yeah. And then let's go open terminal, cmd, AWS, there we go. So let's do AWS configure. And here you provide the access keys we created before. Like I said, I saved those in here. Let's go again. Default region name doesn't matter. Let's go. Okay, let's close it. Close it as well. Close this. Go back to VS Code. And now that we logged in, let's deploy our script. So we will do some deploy that's as guided. And press enter. Make sure you put yes now on this step. And I guess enter unless you want to make any changes. And there we go. Okay, we have an error. So it says failed to create managed resource. Okay, so let's do what this says right here. So let's go to CloudFormation. Now you probably won't have those issues, but I'm only recording this in case you do have that. Okay, so let's delete the bag as well. Delete. Copy the name here. Empty bucket. Okay, let's empty it first. Let's go. Let's delete it. There we go. Let's go back here. Let's delete it. Yes, delete. Oh, okay. That was Frankfurt, but what I was trying to do was in US East 1. So let's go to US East 1. And probably we have to delete there as well. Yeah, okay, as you see, rollback complete. Okay, so we have to delete this. Delete completed, so let's rerun it one more time. And there we go, I think it worked. It says creating the required resources. It didn't say that last time. It failed much sooner, so let's see. Okay, make sure you put here yes and deploy it. And there we go. So let's go to AWS Lambda now. Let's refresh. Make sure you select the region and right here. So let's click manage functions. And there we go. Now to run this in production, you can either run it right here on the test, but of course, to run it through the terminal, you can copy the function here code, the ARN, go back, and what you can do is say sum remote invoke, copy this, and then dash as event, but also dash file this time, and then event.json. Now what you can do, by the way, is copy this, so you don't have to find the ID every time, and just create something here. Let's say production or prod. You can put it here. Okay, so yeah, let's correct that. And there we go. So you can do something like that. And then what you can do the next time, or actually will be the first time, is say npm run prod. By the way, you can do that for building it, some build. So you can create a build one. You can create the local. So instead of prod, you can also create one for local. And all of those, you can just create them here. So you don't have to retype the whole thing. And yeah, let's run npm run prod. And let's test this by running it in production. Okay, so it says you must specify a region. Will this work? I don't know. Let's try that. So let's run npm run prod again. And there we go, it finally worked. For some reason we had to specify the region, but that's fine. And yeah, so as you see, we got the status code 200 and the body and we got the title of the website. So yeah, we finally did it. And by the way, the next video will be on how to do that for Selenium. It's about the same process. So yeah, stay tuned for that. So yeah, if this video was useful and you liked it, I would really appreciate if you hit that like button, subscribe, and hit that bell notification so you don't miss any of my future videos.